Hi, everybody, and welcome to our water festival. I'm Ann.
I'm Chris.
And today we are standing on the banks of Capitol Creek in Griffin Park in Pierre, South Dakota. And we're going to talk about clear water. We have another video where we talked about clean water, but today we're going to talk about clear water. And clear water is an interesting thing to study because it can tell you about what's going on the land around the water. So before we get too far into that conversation, though, I want us to look at the instrument that we are going to use to study clear water. It's called a T-tube. T can stand for transparency, how see-throughable, that's not really a word, but work with me, how see-throughable the water is. Or it can stand for turbidity and how much stuff is floating around in the water. So the first part of our T-tube is the actual tube. And this, we're going to pour some water down here in a little bit. Then we're going to look, the next part I want you to see is this measuring tape along the side. And you can see there are 3 different lengths of lines on the measuring tape. There's the big one that's near the 30, and then there's the medium-sized one, and then there are the little ones. Now this medium-sized one right here, that is actually 29, and this one above is 31. 31 centimeters, 29 centimeters. And then the shortest ones are millimeters. And you might be wondering, well, that's metric. Why are we using metric? Well, the main reason we're using metric is that metric is used all over the world, particularly by scientists, so that when we talk to each other, we're using the same kinds of numbers. I like to use metric and practice it because I feel like I'm speaking a second language when I use it. Being able to talk to somebody in another language, I think is really cool. And you can think about things a little differently with metric. So practice your metric whenever you get a chance. Going on with our T-tube, we have this shunt, this at the bottom with a clip. And that's going to drain the T-tube for us. And then at the very bottom of the tube is this black and white pattern called a Secchi pattern. And when that goes from disappearing to appearing, that's how we're going to be able to make a measurement. Now, if you're a teacher and you're watching this, we can get you a classroom set to loan. That information will be in the show notes. If you are someone who's just kind of stumbled across this and wants to know more or do this for yourself, there'll also be some information how you can buy or make your own T-tube. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some water. Chris went and got it earlier to the T-tube. So I will hold the T-tube while Chris pours it in. Okay, now I just want to show you something. It's pretty easy to see the black and white pattern at the bottom, but I'm going to have Chris hold it, and she's going to turn her back to the sun. She's also going to lift up her sunglasses. The reason I'm going to have her face away with her back towards the sun is because sometimes you will be doing this on a cloudy day. So we want to make sure all of our T-tube readings are not influenced by the sun. So Chris, I want you to look down that tube. Can you see the black and white pattern on the bottom?
I cannot.
You cannot, even though we could see it through the side. We'll put in some footage later that you can look at to see how that changes. So what we're going to do now is Chris is going to hold it and look down. We're going to open the shunt, the clip and on the shunt, and she's going to watch it drain.
All right, I can just barely see it.
Okay. And we're at about, here's 20, so we count down 1, 2, so we're about 18 centimeters of water from the surface to the black and white pattern at the bottom. Well, that's pretty interesting. But what's really interesting is to compare this to other readings around the state. I'm going to show you another T-tube, or Chris's. This one's really big. It's twice as big as this one. This one's 60 centimeters. That's 120 centimeters or 1.2 meters. If you were to go to the Black Hills, you could fill this all the way to the top and look down, and you would be able to see the black and white pattern at the bottom, even with it filled all the way to the top. But if you were to go to the White River, you could fill it not very far and look down, and it would be, couldn't see it, and you would drain it, and you would have to drain it almost all the way out before you'd see the black and white. So what's the difference between the Black Hills and the Badlands that surround the White River? Well, it's what the kind of geology is, the surface is. The Black Hills has a lot of hard granite, so there's not a lot of soil being washed in. While the Badlands that are around the White River, they're very soft and erodible, and with every rain and with every snow melt, there is soil and sediment coming off and going into the river. So there's always a lot of sediment in there. Here in the middle of the state on the Missouri River, we generally are around 40, maybe up to 60, somewhere in here. And there's other things that can tell us. We've got some soil, we've got some hard parts. Other things that can influence your water clarity is how the land is used. And that's a whole other water festival experience. One thing, we're talking about the water washing in soil, sometimes some leaves and vegetation. But there's something water will also carry in, and Chris is going to tell us a little bit more about that.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to swim in a bunch of plastic and cans. So all those cans, all those plastic bags that are rolling around in the wind on your streets, guess where they go? Right to the river. So you can always help out, pick up whatever you can, where if you're walking your dog, and while you're grabbing those little bags to clean up after your dog, grab a little plastic bag. Anything you pass by, you can pick up, and then you do your civil duty for the day.
You throw it away, any kind of trash or litter that you have, because whatever is washed into the river, we want it to be natural. Sometimes washing things that get washed in the river, that's a very natural process. What we don't wash in the river is garbage and trash and extra stuff that shouldn't be there. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming to our water festival. And please let us know about anything you have done to help protect your water body and help keep it clear.